Okay, let's get started. Welcome, everyone. It is very gratifying when there are people here for special town meeting. I'm your moderator, Phoebe Walker. Sorry, this thing is dinging a little. I'll try to get farther away from it. We have special town meetings in between our annual town meetings when we have business to conduct. And today we have 4 pieces of business to conduct. I have reviewed the return of the warrant. It shows it was properly posted. I want to draw your attention to the first page of your yellow handout, which is the town meeting procedures. I think you probably all have been to town meeting before, but if you have not, please read through those. And the main thing to know is that your questions are warmly welcome, but must be accompanied by your name and street. And that you should raise your hand and wait to be recognized. And same to my friends at the head tables, the communication has to go through the moderator and back out, just so everybody knows what's going on. The second page is some definitions. And the very first definition you can see there is the warrant, and that is what we're here to do. It's the agenda for the meeting. So it's not over, it's just starting. Okay, we are going, I wanted to draw your attention to one other thing. At the sign-in table, there is flyers for the Municipal Vulnerability Planning Committee Community Liaison. This is a job we are looking to fill with a number of people to work with us for the next year on planning for municipal vulnerability and trying to make sure we're less vulnerable. So please pass that around to anybody you know who fits the bill. Also on October 6th, there will be a ballot here at Town Hall for the tech school project. There will definitely be more information coming out, maybe an information session, maybe regional ones, but just please bookmark that you will need to come to Town Hall on October 6th and vote. And is that during regular voting hours like 10 to 8? 12 to 8. Okay. All right, so all that said, we're going to get started. Our first 2 warrant articles are basically cleaning up from town meeting. You will remember that we rejected the school budgets at town meeting. However, the way those regional agreements work, enough towns voted yes, that those budgets are going forward. We also passed the override here at an election. And so we now have to appropriate this money. We have no choice. So I will entertain a motion on Article 1.
Ms. Moderator,
Yes.
I move that Article 1 is printed in the handout.
Is there a second? Mr. Wells?
I second. Yes, you are.
Thank you. All right, let's try to follow along here, Mr. Wells. Okay. All right, that's Article 1. It's been made and seconded. You can see that what we're doing, you all have the handout in front of you, right? Okay. That is we're raising and appropriating the amount of money listed there. Are there any questions about Article 1? Yes, sir.
Presumably the budget is balanced. How much of the override is required to meet all the appropriations, assuming 1 and 2 pass?
Did everybody hear that? Okay. Yes, Mr. Langford?
I would defer to Pam.
Yes.
I did not bring all
Ms.
my
Guyette?
numbers upstairs. The budget is balanced, however, and it was laid out at annual town meeting as if the school budgets were going to pass. So the handout that you had at that meeting did lay out all of the budget, and it was balanced as such, as long as the override passed, which it did.
I think the question was whether it was like 300, 400, 500, like how much of it are we using up if these 2 pass?
I believe, Larry, you may remember that better than me.
362, whatever the second.
It was close to 300,000
Yeah.
of the override we were using for it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Del Castillo. Any other questions on Article 1? Yes, sir.
Alex Wilson, South Street. I'm just curious as to why, if we passed it in the vote, why we have to come back and do this.
Thank you for asking. What we rejected at town meeting was our willingness to appropriate this money to pay this bill. Then we went to the ballot and we voted an approval to spend in general next year this year on our budget, more money, right? But now we have to come back and we have to actually assign this amount of money to this cause. Does that make sense? Does anyone want to add to my? That's perfect. Okay. All right. Thanks. It was a very confusing town meeting for sure. Yeah. All right. Any further questions on Article 1? Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor, you can raise your little yellow card. Okay. All those opposed? All right. The article passes unanimously, and I will entertain a motion for Article 2.
Ms. Moderator, I move Article 2 as printed in the handbook.
I'll second it.
All right. Motion has been made and seconded. Same deal as last one, but this one's about the tech school. Are there any questions about the tech school operating assessment? To be clear, this is nothing about capital. It's nothing about what? Capital expenses. Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of Article 2, raise your yellow card. Okay, thank you. Do you feel like soccer officials? Article 3, we are voting on because by accident, a certain number, $30,000, was not put in the cell where it should have been at town meeting in the handout. The total amount of money that we voted collectively at annual town meeting for the wastewater treatment facility does not changing. We just didn't put this amount of money into the right line. Yes. Yes.
Sam Guyette,
Please.
Lutzenbrook Road. Sort, close.
Okay. Sorry. I should have started with you.
So for the spreadsheet that we put together, we had all of the correct numbers in each cell within the operating budget and the admin and operating budget. But when we totaled it at the very bottom, several of the cells in the operating budget were not included in the formula. So they were all presented here, but it was short of $30,000 when it added.
Okay. So that is different. We actually voted too little money.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for clarifying that.
Sure. And it has been corrected for next year.
What's that last one?
It has been corrected for next year. Yeah, it was a brand new spreadsheet we were working from this year, so.
Oh, no one's even made it or seconded it yet. I'm just explaining what it is. So hang on one second. Yes. As soon as we have an actual second, you can do that. Someone want to move this article?
Yes, I will. Ms. Moderator, I move Article 3 as written in the handbook.
I'll second that.
Okay. Now, motion's been made and seconded, and yes, your question.
Just want to make sure that
Stand up, name and street.
Dina Wellmore, Tremont Road,
Thank you.
just want to make sure that the assessments for the users will include the proper total.
It will after tonight, as long as this passes.
So they haven't gone out yet?
They won't go out for.
Okay. Great. Yes.
Cheryl Dukes, Sears Street. So my question is, I know the wastewater treatment plant is enterprise fund. Where's this money coming from?
It says from anticipated receipts of the user fees, which means it will be the bills that those of us who live in the village pay to use the wastewater treatment plant.
So is that the enterprise fund?
Yeah.
Okay, so this 30,000 is coming from the enterprise fund.
Mr. Dean?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Any other questions? And for anyone who wasn't following that, the enterprise fund is paid into by people on both sides of the river who use the wastewater treatment plant. Okay, these are new and a little scary. Okay, any other questions? Okay, Article 3, please raise your card if you're in favor. All right, and you may put it down if you're opposed. Article passes unanimously. And we move on to our final article for the night, which is a little more complicated. So let's first get a motion and a second, and then ask Ms. Guyette to tell us about it.
Okay. Ms. Moderator, I move Article 4 as written in the handbook.
I'll second that.
Thank you very much.
All done.
The article has been moved and seconded. And do you want to tell us why we're thinking about this, Ms. Guyette?
Sure. So because we have hydro facilities in our town, we are allowed to enter into a pilot agreement with them. The advantages for that, and tonight, when you're giving the approval for the select board to enter into potentially one or more pilot agreements, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to, but we need this permission to even move to the next step. Basically, entering into this type of an agreement with a hydro facility provides a more stable and predictable revenue source for the town, where if you don't have this type of an agreement, every time we do a reassessment, they can come back and file at the appellate tax board. I don't know if any of you follow the papers, but it's been happening in Irving. It's happened in Shelburne even. They filed an abatement last year. Rowe. It's a pretty volatile market, and we do have an appraisal process that we go through as a town, so we will have a pretty good understanding of what the value is going to be. But then to come to the table with the hydro companies and sit down and talk about it and lock in an agreement will protect the town from the future spikes and dips that we may have if we didn't do this. So it's really to sort of provide a more stable source of revenue for the town. That's
Thank you.
in a nutshell.
Yes, Mr. Smith.
Matt Smith, William Street. I guess my only question about this is the only reason that the hydro company would agree to this going to be that they're going to end up paying less in tax than they would under the property tax assessment. That's their calculation. So although it's guaranteeing, as you're saying, a more stable revenue stream, it's a revenue stream that in the aggregate turns out to be less than if they were subject to the normal property tax.
Not necessarily that. Again, the energy market, as we know, is kind of a volatile market. And these hydro plants, it's a pretty complex process of nailing down a value. A small town like Buckland, we just don't have the resources to keep going to the appellate tax board, hiring the attorneys, having the appraisals done year after year. It does expose us to a certain level of financial, it could be financial loss, because if we are taken to the appellate tax board because they feel that our values are too high, we then would, if we're found to be, not in favor by the tax board, we then have to pay back the difference with interest, in addition to all the legal fees and the appraiser's costs and their hourly rates. It does get pretty high. So kind of weighing that and balancing it out and trying to come to the table. And again, like I said, we are in the process now of going through the appraisal process for our hydro plants to get a sense of where things are. And I think we're going to try to be very prudent at coming to the table and finding a very agreeable common ground. We'll do our best to, obviously do what's best for Buckland as best we can. So,
Thank you. I saw another hand over. Yes. Yes.
Martha Thurber, 7 Sherlock Road. My only question is, how long an agreement do we negotiate with them? Is it a 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 year?
Typically, they're at least 5, sometimes 10. That's something we're going to have to figure out as we go through the appraisal process.
It can be a single rate for that 5 year, or it might be
There have been known to be like escalation clauses or different percentages. It's going to be whatever gets negotiated between the parties.
It would, of course, be within your rights to propose an amendment if you want to tie their hands in any way. Not suggesting that, I'm just saying, like you're asking about something that can be addressed by this authorization. Yes?
Robin Wilson, South Street. I'm just curious whether or not, have we ever done anything like this before in Buckland?
Have we ever had a pilot? No. Yes.
Charlotte
Street. So my question about this is, given the span of time too, do we know who our negotiators are?
Okay, who would be negotiating here?
So typically, the Board of Assessors would have a seat at the table along with our attorney that we choose to hire, that will probably be looking at an attorney who specializes in this type of, this area. And then they'll work together and come up with a plan to move, they'll have their own attorneys, I'm sure, and their own financial folks at the table as well. So it's a pretty, from my understanding, it's a bit of a process. But yeah, we will have our attorney present for that.
So I know the rules, and so I just want to say I have another question, but I'll sit down
Oh.
because.
I'll come back to you after other people have their first one. Yes.
Somewhere. Have we ever have they requested an abatement in the past?
So, go ahead,
Yeah,
more.
Just give us a sense of what have we experienced.
So, yep, so for one of the last certifications that we went through, there was a bit of back and forth with them, and we did end up settling before we got to the point of going to the appellate tax board. So there has always been a little bit of that in the past as well, but this will prevent that and lock it in a much more official capacity.
I think the question was more about like, what's the scale of the abatement we've settled in the past?
We didn't ever have an abatement.
Just whether we had it? Okay.
Yeah, they never actually filed an abatement, so.
Okay. Ms. Consola, and then we'll come to the people who.
I just wanted to say that I feel like 10 years is probably too much. So just as a friendly reminder that maybe we want to consider the 5 to 7 year, like 10 years just seems, because it's such a volatile market, 10 years seems like a long time.
I wouldn't disagree, but it's going to come down to the advice of the people, like, the appraisers. Yeah, of course.
So looking for people who haven't had a question yet. Okay, Ms. Stern, you dealt with this too.
Street, any indication that they're willing to do this?
Yes, they actually came to us several years ago and knew that this time would be coming because we're in a certification year this year, and had expressed that they would like to do this as well, so.
I'm realizing, and I know that Ms. Dukes and Mr. Smith have questions, that I neglected to do something I always want to do when we come to a financial thing, which is ask the Finance Committee to tell us how they have weighed in. It says here they've recommended it, but do you want to speak at all, any of you, to this
I remember
question?
a few years ago when this toing and froing, as it was referred to, came up, and we said, this is an interesting gamble. We could annually gamble as to what the outcome might be, or we could put a number down, and that's going to be the number, and we elected to vote for a lack of volatility. It was just too much of a risk that we might go to the cleaners, we might get screwed. We don't know. There's too many players who might have an adverse opinion of us. I don't know how the appellate tax court works, but I liked the idea at the time of just settling this for a time period, not too long because the markets do change, but to just get some certainty in terms of the revenue stream.
Thank you. Okay, yep, Ms. Parlin.
Nancy Parlin, Dodge Road. You mentioned other towns that have not done this type of thing. Are there other towns who have, and what is their success rate or impression of it been?
So the towns that I mentioned are actually negotiating pilots now. So
Irving and Shelburne.
Irving, Shelburne, Gill, Northfield. I'm not sure about Rowe at this point, but.
So nobody's done it in the past.
Oh, they have done. I'm sure there are definitely towns in the past. This is like a mass general law that allows this to happen. So I do know others have done it, but locally that have the hydro companies, they kind of have been gambling, but now are deciding to lock it in because Irving, for example, has lost I can't tell you off the top of my head, but it was a lot that they lost in having to pay back the taxes and the interest, so.
Yes, sir.
Alex Wilson, South Street. how many facilities and how many companies are we talking about? And if the companies change hands, does the agreement still stand with the mayor ownership?
We have 2 different hydro companies in Buckland, and the agreements would have to be written as such that if they changed ownership, that would have to be addressed by, I'm sure our legal team will provide for that, because it does happen fairly regularly. So,
Wait a minute, I'm trying to keep track of who's already had a question, who hasn't. You haven't done this one yet, right? Oh, you have. Okay, then we're with Mr. Smith, and then we're coming to you.
Yeah, just a follow-up. I was just wondering if it might actually help the negotiator's position if there were more conditions on the resolution than there are at this point in some ways. Like, for instance, if there were a proviso saying that whatever the negotiators agree to needs to be approved at a subsequent town meeting, or if there are any other restrictions that the negotiating team would think would actually help them, because that would enable them to go to the counterparties of the negotiating table and say, look, I can't give you everything you're asking for, and, take kind of a harder line. I guess the question is, do we know that, and is it worth perhaps, waiting on this until we get input from the expected negotiating team on the question?
right, I think, so this is a year with the Department of Revenue that we have to lock this in for this current fiscal year. Again, we're going to work with an attorney who's very familiar with these types of agreements. So presumably they're going to cover a lot of that ground. I'm certainly not a legal expert. I was an assessor for many years. That's the only reason I'm able to answer all of your questions, because it's pretty specific. But that's why we're going to hire an attorney to help guide us through this process, to make sure that we're getting what's most advantageous for Buckland. So.
Ms. Wilson.
Thank you. Robin Wilson, South Street. My question was along the same lines, just like how much feedback about this or discussion should we have now? Like, will there be another chance to do so before the agreement locks in?
I wouldn't think so. What we were voting tonight is to give these guys the authority to sign the agreement.
Okay, so if there is some feedback, like, hey, consider doing this, this would be a good time to do that. Okay.
I wonder whether it would be helpful to people to know how much the tax bill for Great River Hydro
I don't
is
have that
this year.
information off the top of my head, sorry.
Do you have like any kind of between 20,000 and 200?
I don't actually, now that I'm not in that office anymore, I'm just not
Yeah.
into that. I will say that the negotiations, I'm also presuming will happen in an executive session, because it is negotiating. So, I don't think there will be a lot of community input into that.
No, that's very clear. No. Once we do this, you guys,
Right.
you'll have a negotiating team. They will come with a final thing to the select board who can sign it or not. Okay. Ms. Dukes. No, because now as soon as everyone has identified themselves, then I can just call on you by name. Yes.
So my question is, in terms of pilot payment in lieu of taxes, I'm wondering, is this just a money negotiating issue, or is there an opportunity for extra goodies that's not actually CA and SH cash? Having worked at the University of Massachusetts Amherst and knowing that there's lots of pilots that they do with the hosting communities, things like ambulance service and all kinds of stuff. So I was just wondering, is that also included within the scope of this as a possibility?
I am not entirely sure, actually, but we certainly can keep that. I mean, you have one of your assessors here tonight, so hopefully she's taking notes on all of these issues.
Since it's a hydro and that is energy,
Yes.
there could be some possibilities.
Some free electric bills. Yes, Ms. Wilson.
Okay, Robin Wilson, South Street.
You don't have to keep doing it.
Following up to what I was just saying, so along those lines, I was just thinking about some sort of, in the negotiations, something about developing more recreational opportunities around here, since that seems to be, what draws a lot of visitors to our area. And I know that the hydro places are supposed to do upkeep on trails and maintenance around the baseball field. And needs it, right? And these are all things that could make our town more attractive to visitors and more attractive for young families to come and stay. The trail down Gardner's Falls, connected and moved around, that would be really cool if there were big trail visitors could do while they're here. So some kind of agreement like that, I think developing the recreational opportunities would be a good
Would it be, I guess what I want to say is, I'm sensing, Elizabeth, that there's a lot of interest in giving feedback to what the various things that could get negotiated would be, that are not maybe appropriate to be amendments to this, but I wonder if the assessors could like have a specific meeting where the public can come and give input. Not on what you're negotiating, not once you're negotiating it, but beforehand.
Input.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Sorry, can you say your name and street, just because I called on you, I know, but still. Okay, thank you.
Yes, I think that we could put it on an agenda and open to hearing ideas. I mean, I wouldn't obviously be able to say anything without the rest of the board.
No,
We could do something like that, I'm sure.
Okay. So to recap, what we're voting on here is to give the select board the authority to negotiate with either or both of the electric generation companies to pay us a stable, predictable amount over a course of multiple years, versus the process we have now and have had in the past. So, oh, I was wrapping up, but yes, ma'am, yes, Ms. Dukes, yes.
Just in relation to what you're just saying now, just popped into my head. So this is just for this time, right? So once the agreement, let's just say we
Yeah.
get a pilot, it comes up again, and then we'll have an opportunity to vote on, do we do a pilot or do we do an assessment?
This is an excellent question. Are we permanently invoking this part of Mass General Law for our town?
I mean, it would be for this, whatever the term of the pilot, whatever that timeline is, it wouldn't be indefinite.
So we are not, it doesn't say that.
Doesn't say that, right?
It says that we are basically, it leaves it open to the interpretation that we're authorizing the select board. This is like when we adopt non-criminal disposition or whatever. It's a part of the state law that once you adopt, it's off to the races. So we would have to revoke it at a town meeting.
I'm not sure, that's not what Mark Rich had indicated. He had more.
Does anyone have a smartphone and can Google MGL 59, section 38H? Be answering this question very quickly. Ah, that's interesting. Say more, please, Mr. Dean.
We're not accepting that section of Mass General Law. We're just authorizing the pilot agreements pursuant to that.
Okay. That's reassuring, is what you're saying, that as a reassurance that, right, is that we're not accepting a form of, we're not accepting it, we're just, okay.
So this is, so just to be clear on the question that I asked.
Yeah.
So are you asking us, if we vote yes for this, that it will be for this time? And then when the agreement, when the term limit runs out, then we have an opportunity that will come up before the town again to say whether we want to do a pilot or something, if something new comes up or whatever.
That is what Ms. Guyette is
That is
saying.
my
it says.
understanding.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Are you writing that down?
Me?
Well, only because these people won't be here.
She's writing it down. Yes, Mr. Del Castillo.
When negotiations are an executive session, the select board's approval would be at a public meeting. So late for input at that point, but at least.
But it could be voted down, anyway. Okay, good, thank you. Did everybody hear that? No. While the negotiations would be in executive session, the actual select board's signature on this, approval would be in a public meeting, so that we could come and hear what the terms are, and if we collectively. Jesus. I am not loving the audio that comes with these. Right. Right, but I was just pointing out that what he was saying, which is that we will be able to vote. We won't be able to vote anymore, but we'll be able to come and be heard if we don't like the terms that they've negotiated. Okay, yes, Mr. Smith.
I'm sorry, but why not just have a proviso that says that town needs to approve the deal?
No.
I don't think the law works that way. I think that in general, in Massachusetts law, once we're giving the selectmen the right to do something on our behalf. And then we either have it collectively for us, like all the things we vote on at town meeting, or we don't. But we can't sort of, yeah. If we might like to. Because they can't go in good faith and negotiate if they don't have permission from the town to negotiate on our behalf. Because they could go and waste all these lawyers' time, and then we come to a special town meeting like this and we vote it down, and then they didn't negotiate in good faith. Yeah. Okay. I would say that there's high interest in this subject, and I look forward to further public engagement. Does everybody feel ready to vote? Okay, what, are you voting? Oh, you're raising your hand. Okay, yes, sir.
I just want to, as somebody who's been on the town board for many, many years, I've been to meetings like this where there's a flurry of questions and concerns about something, and then it all evaporates, and the people who express those concerns don't show up to the follow-up. So I would just ask everybody who spoke tonight to make sure that you put in your calendar to come back, if you really feel strongly about this, to come back and follow through so that this can happen.
Are assessors meetings and select board meetings both posted on the website at the calendar if you go to the committee page? Okay, so noted. Good point. Okay. Giving you the 8 seconds. Okay. All those in favor of Article 4, please raise your yellow card. Okay. All those opposed? You surprised me. Okay. I will entertain a motion to dissolve this meeting. Seconded?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Okay, thank you. We'll see you voting on October 6th here, noon to 8.
Well, we also have a state primary
What?
coming up.
And September 1st. And September 1st.
What about the state primary?